Hello and welcome to CJC Adventures. Carl here, and Craig's with me, brother Craig of course, and we're going to head back a good few hundred years to the 1600s. That was a long time ago, but of course we've all heard of the Gunpowder Plot of 1605. Remember, the 5th of November. And of course Guy Fawkes was that man who basically put that idea into our head that every 5th of November we would have a bonfire, fireworks, and call it Guy Fawkes Night, or Bonfire Night, if you like, whichever word or name you know it by. Now, that wasn't the end of the story. Of course, he was probably the first to be caught, and he was later executed. But what happened to the rest of the men? Well, the rest of the men headed here to Kingswinford on the borders of Wall Heath in the West Midlands, England, and they headed for Holbeche House. Now, Holbeche House was built in around 1600. It happened in 1605. We're going to take a look at that house. So, let's go. Now, as the plot goes, it was always said that Guy Fawkes was the main leader of the gang. Some say he was, some say he wasn't, because he was the first one to be caught. But a Robert Catesby was meant to be known as his right-hand man, but some say he literally masterminded the whole thing and he literally was the leader. That's something we might not know about Robert Catesby. But he led men to Holbeche House in Kingswinford, making their way from London. And when they made their way from London, basically, it was hard. It had to be hard in those days. There was no roads, horses and carts, and that was it. Now, to get a real sense of the actual events, we have to go back to the beginning. So, let's go. The Gunpowder Plot was an attempt by a small party of provincial English Catholics to blow up the House of Lords during the state opening of Parliament, thereby killing King James I and his court, as the prelude to revolt during which a Catholic monarchy would be restored to the English throne. It was after the failure of the plot that the fugitives took shelter in Holbeche House, owned at the time by Stephen Littleton. They had taken supplies from Warwick Castle, a few miles away, on the 6th of November, and weapons and gunpowder from Hugh Grange on the 7th of November, but the powder became damp in the rain. After arriving at Holbeche House at about 10 p.m, several were maimed when gunpowder left to dry in front of the fire was ignited by a stray spark. At about noon the next day, on the 8th of November 1605, the house, Holbeche House that is, was surrounded by a posse led by Richard Walsh, who at the time was the Sheriff of Worcestershire. The sheriffs were originally seeking those responsible for the raid at Warwick Castle. Most of the plotters were either killed or wounded in the ensuing fight at Holbeche House, and some holes from the muskets used in the storming of the house in the year 1605 are still visible in the house. Those what were still alive after that all happened were taken to London, tried, executed, and that was the end of them. Now, be what you will, there's a lot of gaps in what happened. Of course, we know that Guy Fawkes was later executed. He was brought to justice. He was originally from York, but of course the rest of them, Robert Catesby and the rest of his men, found shelter for some reason in Holbeche House. Now, we're going to take a look at Holbeche House. It was till recently a nursing home. It's no longer a nursing home. It is actually closed and boarded up. But we're going to take a look at it as best as we can of what it looks like today. It hasn't changed much. So, without further ado, we'll make our way up to Holbeche House here in Kingswinford. Now, heading to Holbeche House, you can understand really why the Gunpowder plotters headed for this area of the country, Kingswinford, because it's absolutely stunning round here and it's very discreet, it's very quiet. You could just hide somewhere and, you know, it would literally be hard to find you and find what's actually happened to you. But of course that was probably what they had in mind all those years ago in 1605. Obviously none of these roads were here, this would all be just countryside non-stop. It mostly is now, and of course you've got the town of Kingswinford over there. But of course, if you look round, it is still very discreet. You probably would be seen more now, but back then it was surprising how they were actually caught. Now this is the Wolverhampton Road. A busy road, very noisy. One of the tales that goes back, which is obviously a true story, is a man by the name Gideon Grove, who lived in the house itself. Now he was chased from there because he was frightened of being mistaken for one of the plotters. He was chased out, fell into a bog and was shot by muskets. Now, think of that what you will, his ghost has been seen round here. Footsteps, you name it, people seeing someone leading a horse, walking with a horse. Also ghosts have been seen walking across the road. Traffic has been pulled up sharp. And then, whatever it was, a figure, a ghost, has disappeared. Now it does give you the creeps coming round here, I've got to be honest. But if we can, let's go and have a look at Holbeche House as we head down the Wolverhampton Road. That's the wall where them ghosts disappeared into.
Was it?
Ah. I wonder if I'm still in there. A really, really busy road, very noisy. Just here, there used to be an old mill.
Yeah.
Oh, like an old mill.
Yeah.
And that river obviously has always been there.
Yeah.
If you look at the brickwork, that's obviously always still been there.
Yeah.
That's the river, look.
Some years like that, ain't it?
And this is where all the action happened. Proper terrorist attack, I imagine, for the day. It's all closed up now, it will be summit eventually. But that is where it all happened. Where the sheriffs came for the plotters, the Gunpowder plotters. It would be nice to see all those musket holes in the walls. But still, maybe one day. Holbeche House, where Robert Catesby and his men were captured and brought to justice. Proper history. Now the man named Gideon Grove was actually chased over there, as I mentioned. That is where he was basically lost his life. He hadn't done nothing. He was an innocent man. He was chased over there. He was shot by muskets by the sheriffs of the time. He was killed. And I say that wasn't the end of it. The end of it is still going on after all these years, since the 1600s, would you believe that? And he was basically chased over there and killed. And of course, his ghost's over there somewhere around Himley Wood, which is shut off to the public. But still, there is historic history of Holbeche House, still standing today, as we've seen. I'd like to know what it's going to be next. Would be nice, as I mentioned, to open to the public, but we'll wait and see. of course, if only walls could talk. Now some of the newer buildings on there have been named after Chillington House and Robert Catesby House, naming them obviously after the plotters. Strange that they name them after someone who's tried to blow up Parliament, but still, something to remember them by. Does actually make you have that creepy feeling around here. You look at that house there, I don't think anybody's living there. I might be wrong, but still. If they do, then maybe they like that creepy look. In the distance you can see Himley Woods, of course, close to the public. Can't you just see the house there, look, see?
Oh yeah.
That's the back of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So they might have come across here at some point, haven't they?
Oh yeah. All about here.
I mean, some of these trees might be the original trees, haven't they?
There's a good chance, yeah.
So, might be, you never know. These daffodils. All up there and all, look. Rows and rows on them.
Yeah.
Holbeche Lane. Oh. Probably the oldest, one of the oldest streets in the, probably in the world, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's another path. This is what leads to it anyway, so it's...
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
It's like the newer part there, but the older part obviously is on the side, and
Yeah.
you say they've got all the horse training on here, haven't they?
Yeah.
Rain stopped anyway. You imagine what went on there. I think there's some bullet holes, you know, on like outside the property itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to it, the roof itself, you know, when the gunpowder by the fire,
Yeah.
it exploded
Yeah.
and blinded some on them,
Oh.
and I think all or part of that roof was blown off.
Yeah. Sure,
And obviously,
you believe that what you ain't going for trying not to come around here like that.
so I say, it's like a... You look at them chimneys.
Yeah.
They obviously lit them chimneys, don't they, to, you know, keep warm until the sheriffs come to find them.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Oh, what's all that?
So I wonder if any of these trees could tell way. You tell us, trees. What happened that day? Can you remember?
Oh, no.
Been that long ago, eh? It's, rain stopped too. Yeah. It come down quite heavy though, did it? Yeah. They say did it really, but this is a right away path anyway, this is, so there's no sign saying private property, but it does give you that creepy feeling round there. All beach house. Wow. And that's it for today on CJC Adventures from Carl and Craig, and the history of the Gunpowder plot. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It all helps. And please subscribe, click on the subscribe icon, click on the bell, and you'll be notified when each video is uploaded on this channel. Hope you've enjoyed it. And remember, the 5th of November. Thanks for watching. See you again next time. Bye for now.